Welcome back to the world of Puzzle Rush. I am your host, Phoenix. I am a chess expert and a chess coach, and I am going to be coaching you today through these puzzles one by one, how we solve 100 rated puzzles all the way through the thousands, 2000s, and I'm hoping we can get through 2800 before we get 3 wrong. Let's go. These are not timed puzzles. You could choose for them to be timed, but I have noticed that by the time my timer runs out, I haven't even gotten to the hard ones yet. So in this one, we have a classic back rank formation. We just got to look for something to put on the back rank. You know it's a back rank formation because the king can't come out. So let's just go ahead and mate. And I'm going to guess the next 5 are going to be like this as well. There it is. See those 3 pawns? Now we're going to take the queen. Now it's the same thing, but this time there's a hole here, but the king guards it. So it's still a back rank mate. Let me hit that very important button right here so that I can hear it too. Okay, now in this case, we have an undefended piece and a king. Throughout this video, we're going to be talking about how to find targets. A target is any undefended piece, the king, or anything that is attacked an equal number of times that it is defended. So, for example, this pawn is attacked 0 times, but it is defended once. If it were attacked just one more time, for example, by this, it would become a target. Here it's not. So we want to look for targets. Step 2, see what lines they're on together. And they happen to both be on this rank. Step 3, find a piece that moves on a rank. That's a rook or a queen. We have a rook. Can I put it on that line? Yes, I can. And when I go here, you'll see that it hits 2 targets in a line. Okay, this is a simple kissing queen example. The queen likes to go right up next to the king, give him a little kiss on the nose. Mwah! And you'll notice when she does that, when he's against the edge of the board, he has nowhere to go. So in this one, let's go ahead and try to find the targets. I have one right here. A lot of people would be tempted to do this or do this. But if you look, it's attacked twice and defended twice, right? So it's a good place to start, but this one is attacked once and defended none. Looks like a free piece to me. I just got to check to see if anything's wrong, and I don't think so. We're just going to take that. Hey, this is a kissing queen right up next to it. Notice it's protected by this knight. Give you a little kiss on the nose. Mwah! Discovery. 1, 2 attackers, only 1 defender. This is a weak piece. That is attacked once and defended none. So it's a weak piece. And the king, because the king is always a target. Why is the king a target? Because you can take it and win the game. Doesn't matter how much you have to give up to get it. So in this case, we want to just figure out a way. I see a target and a target on a line. How do I deliver a rook or queen to that line? Well, here's my queen. So I just got to get rid of this bishop. Do we want to go this way? No, because then black will take our queen. So we go like this. Attack the king. And we want a rook. Cool. This is going to be promoting the pawn. So we just have to figure out, do we want to go this way or do we want to go this way? And it appears to me if we go here, and we go 1, 1, 2, 2. And I actually don't need to go any farther than this to see who queens first. Okay? Because we are going to be able to go across the center line just after black crosses the center line. So black will queen first. So instead, what we're going to try to do, if we went this way, the pawn would just run. How do I know it's going to get there first? Because it crosses the center of the board before mine does. So instead, what we want to do is play defensively with our king. We want to go like this so that it can't advance. When black guards that square, we will push ours. And this time, the difference is I will queen with check. Let's see if I'm right. Sure am. You see how now I queen with check? yet again, I have the option of going down and the king going down and then push my pawn. But then black will push their pawn. So better to keep here queening with check. Just like that. Right on the nose. Give him a little kiss. Mwah. Hey. Okay. If you just look around the board, you can solve tactics pretty easily. Now, all you have to do is check for a stalemate. And there isn't one. The king can go here and the pawn can go here. Ooh, look. You know the pattern by now? What sound do we make? Mwah. Got him. Okay. I like these. These are one of my favorites. These are just complicated, but they're very famous. So they're a little bit hard, but everybody knows them. So we're going to go like this. And we're going to take that. And the puzzle is over. I can show you real quick the longer version, in case you haven't ever seen it. And what if the queen doesn't block? Let's just say the king moves. Well, if it goes here, we have what? Mwah. So instead, the king will go the other way. And now we have this little guy. Check. Only legal move. Double check. This isn't strictly necessary in this specific position to double check, but we're going to play it anyway because it's fun. And then we go here and mate. Sometimes there's a rook here. Watch this. What if I don't checkmate on this move? What if I play like this? And this knight plays here. Now what can we do? Check. Oh no, it's hanging. But guess what? Smothered mate. And this is the famous example. And that's why this puzzle is so low rated, because everyone knows that one. But if you didn't know that one, now you do. Okay, this is Anastasia's mate. Anastasia's mate is where we cover these squares with either knights or pawns. So these will be the knight, and this will be the pawn specifically. This pawn is extra when we have an open H file. Notice the king is forced to go to one of these three squares. This is why it's Anastasia's mate. So it's a knight and a queen or rook here. Or here, or here, or here. Okay. This is Mayet's mate. Mayet. I think his name wasn't Colin, but that's a checkmate. Ooh, what do we have here? I like to call this a tunnel. It's kind of like a swallowtail mate. A swallowtail mate is when these two flight squares are blocked, but that requires a queen to be here. So when it's one square away, it's kind of like there's this channel running right down the middle, right? Because blocked, 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 taken away by the bishop, blocked. How did he make it blue? I didn't know you could do that. Oh, you can. The rook would block, we would take it, and it's a swallowtail mate. Again, let's just look at lines open to a king. I see a lot of air around the king. A lot of open air. And I see a lot of pieces around the king. Now, a big mistake the beginners would make is they would check like this. But what you want to do when you're hunting a king is look for the squares that he's on, which is a light square in this case, and look for a far away piece that can go along those squares. Don't put your eyes close to the king. Start with these guys far away from the king, because when I bring this into the attack, I'll have 3 pieces attacking the king. What happens if I do this? Does that help? I think that helps a little bit to see the board. Okay, it looks like we have a hanging rook. And then we do, I see. So this bishop is pinned, and that'll be key to this puzzle. Oh no, how do I get through there? Just kidding, it's unprotected. This bishop pins the bishop, so mate. I have a target here, but I also have a target here. So weakly defended pieces are here, here. Excuse me, that's defended. And then here. So it appears to me like we could just go like this, and then the queen is trapped. And we win that bishop. So we have, if we count the material, we have 3 pieces and 2 rooks and a queen for each side. So what we're going to do is attempt to win material, and we have a bishop attacked twice. Unfortunately, it is pinned to the king. So how do we solve this issue? I would love it if I could just go rook check here and take, but I cannot. We have to come up with some other solution. And in doing that, we just have to figure out how can we either get this queen to move somewhere where it's not pinning the rook or something like this. Okay. I see that this doesn't work because the queen will just take it and we have the same issue. But I do have this little guy. And now my rook is no longer pinned. So, mate, that was fun. I thought that was fun. So, how are we going to break through here? Let's see. I can take that en passant, as we all know and love, the French move. And then is the bishop almost trapped? No, not quite. Is it a fork? No, it's not. So we would take and the bishop would take. So let's do this the right way. So we have 2 rooks and 3 pieces for each side and a queen for each side. So that's the same. So we just have to win material. So where's the material we can win? It's here and here. And the king always. Everything else is well defended. So we just have to figure out how can we hit one of those 2 bishops. And I do see that I can do this. And then when the bishop hits me back, my knight hangs. So how can we solve that? I suppose we can go like this. And then the bishop will be forced to go back. But now I'm a little bit stuck on how we're going to win any sort of material at all. So if we use our long distance eyes, we have to bring other pieces into the attack, right? So we have a rook here coming up the file, but we also have a bishop cutting through. So when this pawn leaves, and this pawn is dead, and this pawn leaves, we'll have an extra bishop coming through. So I am thinking I can go take here, here. Bishop has to go back, and then we take here. But then the queen just comes like there or something. And we've won a pawn, yes, but have we accomplished anything? Well, now we have the ability to go after the king this way. And I'm wondering if that is just the solution. Let's look at other moves first before we make a decision. I mean, this looks good because it wins a pawn. Something like that. And then we can even go like push this pawn through and then the knight comes in and stuff like that. So that does look pretty darn good. So the question becomes, then this pawn becomes a little bit weaker. The question becomes, how do we feel about taking this? Well, it's defended 1, 2, 3, and 4 times, and it is attacked only 3 times. So I don't feel great about that. We can't really make use of this file if we go take, take. We don't have much of anything coming down the file here because the black rooks can just guard it. Not to mention this knight can close the file and things like that. We can even go this way. So I'm not feeling too confident about that. I think we are just going to take. We're going to win our pawn and trust in our dominating position. Let's see if we're right. We are. And now do I scare that bishop away? I must, right? Because my knight hangs and gotta trust my analysis. He just gives me the bishop. Curious. Let's see if we're just, I think this is one of those puzzles where we're just overall winning. Like, it's not a particular thing. What if we just go back? Bishop takes here, and queen here, like I said. Do we have like a punch out? No, we just continue the attack. Yeah, okay. Yeah, we're just going to pour on the firepower against a king who can't really defend himself. Yeah, okay. 5, for example, and if we take that, then we play this, and you can't really take that because of what? Can I play the bishop take? I would probably think bishop would take. Bishop takes is good because it's check, but also we're just going to take this Yeah, okay, so this is just crushing. It's just a dominating position. If take, then take, and you can't take this because I take your rook. Stuff like that. So way back here, that's the end of the line. We take this bishop, just like I said, and that's it. That's just good enough. Which totally makes sense to me. I mean, we have so much firepower around the king. No doubt we're winning that. Okay. So this one appears to be an unblockable diagonal. And then there's nothing that can interfere with that diagonal except the queen, but the queen's undefended. Mate. Ooh, kissing queen, right? But then how do we finish this up? Maybe it isn't. No, I can't take with a knight. It's pinned by that rook. So it is just this. And now I want to play, what I want to play is just knight here. And this would be mate if I had any sort of a rook here. But I cannot because there's a queen there. Pinning it. So it looks like I'm about to lose the knight. So I can go like this. And do you remember this from a few minutes ago? Mate. Fix the board for you guys. Hopefully you can see it better. So we're at 25 puzzles, mistake free. I love that. Looks like we've got a hanging rook that is targeted. And then the queen would come here. Or sorry, excuse me, the king would come there. But we will have won a bishop. And then all we have to do is make sure that we can take this pawn out. I wonder if that's the end of the puzzle. Do we have to take the pawn for it to be the end of the puzzle? We do. So we're up a piece. We're in no danger. The only problem is this thing can promote. So let's just get rid of it. Yeah. We've seen this one. I just showed this to you. Do you remember a while back when I showed you how to do this? I pulled up the analysis board and did it. So let's go double check. Let's hang our queen. But do you remember this? Hey. Really? This again? Is this the same one? So we just have to figure out how we crash in all the pieces against the king. My queen is, in fact, threatened. So we're going to have to deal with that. We can definitely go check. And then we know that that's backed up, right? So here's another tip for solving these mates. And I think that I had this in about 3 seconds or so. But here's how you can think it through. This bishop attacks just one square that is relevant to the position, this one, right? This queen attacks 2 things. For example, if I took this rook, then this rook would have to take back, and then we would have less defenses on here. You want to start, probably, here's the key, with the piece that's doing the least. Earlier, I told you use the farthest away piece. It's the same logic. The farthest away piece is probably doing the least. In this case, this bishop attacks 1 square. The queen attacks 2. So we're not going to use the queen. We're going to use the bishop. So we start our calculation there. Check. King cannot take it because the queen is doing double duty, right? Guarding it. So check, rook. And then suddenly we see that that queen's other square is available because this rook is essentially overworked. And so on the other side of the table, when you're looking at what your opponent can do, try to make their hardest working piece work first. So this rook does 2 jobs, and this rook only does 1. You could say it kind of defends this rook, but pretty much it only attacks an attacker. So in that case, we want to make this rook work first, and we want to use the piece that works the least for us, and we get the solution. Now, do you see how this rook is no longer doing the job, but the queen still is doing the job? It wouldn't have worked if I went queen here. Nothing would attack the rook. And now I think we can finish this off by switching places, rook and queen. And then rook would block, and then this other rook is mating in the back. So let's see what we can do in this one. I see a hanging piece. My piece is not hanging. We have 3 minors for each side. And then we have 2 rooks and a queen. So we just have to win a piece. I'm pretty sure it's going to be take, take, take. Like that. But it shouldn't be. This seems too easy for this level of puzzle. But I have seen puzzles like this that are mate in one. So I've seen high rated puzzles that are 2,000 that are just mate in one. Pretty sure we just win a piece, right? Feels like it. Yeah. Okay. Just gonna take my queen back. Yep. That was easy. No tricks to be had. Okay, how do we get out of a fork? You move one of the pieces with tempo. He's attacking a queen, so we need to attack either the queen or the king. Something higher rated. So this is what I call climbing the ladder. The knight is attacking a queen, so we need to climb the ladder over him and attack the king. So we're going to go like this. And now I can move my queen. This knight is trapped, right? It's not trapped because of here. So we just have to move the queen either here or here because there's no other squares to go to. So why is one better than the other? I don't actually know yet. Either way, the knight will have to move. See, so this pawn's guarded, by the way. Feels like it's going to be this one. Then the reason is, no, it's not. I was going to say the reason is if I come here, the queen can't arrive on this square to guard the knight. And I wasn't worried about this because this rook can come over. But now I've realized that, first of all, the knight is here. And second of all, this would be check. So we can't let the queen come in here. If here, queen here, and this is threatened, which kind of ruins our whole plan, right? So now I'm thinking it's this. And then the knight comes out. But we aren't up material. So we need to win that knight. Maybe we need to look around the board a little bit more at other features. My queen, again, is attacked, so we do probably have to move it. I wish that I could just go rook here and be like mate, but I cannot. There's nothing guarding it. So that won't work. And so it is probably one of these two squares. Both of them feel wrong. Let's see. If I go here, then we get queen there. But if I go here, we get knight there, and I'm down a piece. And I just scare it more. And I knock it around the board even more. It can't, it'll try to exit here, right? Is there a fork I can pull off? Move the queen with tempo. And I go here. And then when the queen comes here, I do something extreme. I don't think so. I guess I just win this pawn, right? But then check and so forth. Do I have any other ideas? So, okay, let's open our eyes. What's a target? This is a target. This is a target because it's undefended. Queen is well defended, so it's not a target. Knight is defended well, and the rook is defended by the queen. So just these guys. And the knight. Ah, duh. Yeah, I was looking for a way to move the queen with tempo. I don't know why I missed that. Well, I do know why I missed that. It was because I was thinking the queen needed to cover dark squares earlier in the puzzle. And then when I noticed the knight covered those squares, I forgot to release the queen from that job. It's something that can happen when you see something, but you don't realize, when you realize you're wrong, that you change the ramifications of that. So I thought that the queen had to cover dark squares. And then I never rechecked that assumption. Okay, this one seems to be fairly simple. It's only a question of two things. Do I take here first or do I check first and then take there? So I'm fairly certain if I check, it's just king f1 is the answer. So I just have to take here first. And then that is a very, very, very common reply. I would have loved to pin the queen, but I cannot. So here, am I down material? No, material is even. I just have 2 extra pawns. No, I have 1 extra pawn. Important to hydrate. Gotta hydrate when you play chess. Okay, so I think I can take, and then when the knight takes, I go here, and then it would be forced. It'll have to be defended with like this or this. But so what? How do we get out of that? I do think we just take the queen. It is possible that I just defend with the bishop. Yeah. Okay, so the rook is trapped is the answer to this one. So it's going to be the original idea. Not pin this way, but pin this way, of course. I'm pretty sure this is the right way to go because queen takes queen will be met with bishop takes queen, winning a rook. Yeah. Okay. I thought at first there may be some like simpler solution, but there wasn't. So I had to get a little fancy with the skewer. So this is one of those that I told you earlier where you start with the piece that's doing the least, and that would be this pawn. This pawn has only one job in its life, and that's to kill another pawn. It's not like it's going to try to queen because there's too much stuff in the way. So it only has one job. So we're going to start our calculation with this. Check. Notice that it's backed up by the bishop. And when pawn takes back, check. So this is a target. This is a target. And it looks like that's just a fork. What you have to realize is that the pawn is pinned. This guy's pinned. So we're going to take. And then it couldn't take back because check, take the bishop. So here we have to figure out yet another way to advance this game. And I'm thinking I can go with this. Nah, doesn't seem right. So maybe I go here, and then this rook comes here, and then I take here. And otherwise it's mate. I'm pretty sure this is a fork of mate and a bishop. And I don't see a way to solve both of those because if the bishop retreats, which blocks this path and saves itself, we take it anyway. But now I take here. So that's 32 puzzles, everybody. 32 puzzles. I want to do one more here before we have to take a little time out. So we want to start with the pieces that are doing the least. That's actually going to be this queen and this rook. I'm not sure which one first. So we could go check, and then here, and then queen check. And then the king would have to go to one of these 2 squares. And then we could check with the rook again. And the king would be forced to go to here no matter where it is. And then the queen can go check. And then the king goes here. Seems to be too complicated for a way to play this game. So let's keep that in mind that we could do that. And it's very forced. But what if we just went check and the king went here? And then that seems to be the same thing, except there's no pawn this time. So then we have a choice of either queen check or rook check, or we also have this check. We go check here, check, and then there. And then the queen comes down, check. And this is a good idea to force the king to start walking in backward again. You want to, if the king starts running this way, you kind of want to like eventually force it to have to start going backward, because then it runs it toward the pieces that are already there in the attack. So we also have this check, and then here, and then this. But that seems silly. So I'm guessing it's just the queen here. And then where? I can go queen check or I can go rook check. So let's try queen check, king here. And then we can go pawn check, or we can go rook check. Oh my. Oh, that's it. Found it. So this is just a series of checks. You just got to calculate. There's so many options, but check here. Queen check, only legal move. Rook check is actually this time mate because this square is blocked. See that? Here, here. And the queen will cover these guys. All of those. That'll be blocked, but whatever. And then the rook will guard these squares. So here we go. There it is. Mate. Okay, that's 33 puzzles. I think we're going to pause right there. I think we're going to pick this up in the next video. I hope this was interesting for you guys. I hope that you got something out of this. And I hope that you join me for the next one, especially. But I think maybe if you stuck around to this point of the video, I think you should hit like. I think you should hit subscribe. And I think you should watch me make this guy real quick. What do you think here? Yeah. Yeah, I definitely think we're going to go like this. We're going to go like this, and we're going to go like that. Okay. Have a good one, everybody. See you for the next video.